What's up, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? Boogie2988 coming at you live again through the power of the internet. And I know some of you are going to be upset about the fact that I'm mentioning a fellow content creator by the name of Ethan Klein again because I said that I wouldn't. But I feel like it's important enough here to talk about this because it allows me to talk about cancel culture for a second, but it also allows me to talk about it's a learning moment. It's a teaching moment for anybody out there who wants to learn the lesson that Ethan just learned, the lesson that I have learned in the past. It's a lesson that you can learn today if you plan to have an online career. And now that I'm on this side of it, it does seem like common sense, and it probably will to you, but I still think it's worth talking about why it's so important. But I mean, it's in the Bible a couple of times. Judge not, lest ye be judged. Let he who is without sin cast the first stone. Your chickens will always come home to roost. You will reap what you sow. How many different versions of it are there? But I like to put it in a very YouTube specific way. When you build an audience on YouTube by criticizing others, by mocking others, by unfairly judging others, that audience will eventually judge you, right? And you better be damn sure that when they turn their laser pointer eye on you, that you are ready for it. And if I'm telling you, if you are not without sin, you shouldn't be casting those stones. I cultivated a very critical audience, right? I'm making fun of video games, making fun of myself, making fun of others, and talking about drama online. I'm cultivating a critical audience right now, and I know damn well that I will get judged for every little thing. I have been for years. And my thought process going into that is you can judge me all you want. I know that I'm a good person. My friends, my family, everybody else knows I'm a good person. That's not how the internet works. The internet will make shit up, apply it to you, and then judge you for that. They will take your words, they will twist them, they'll do whatever the hell they want to with them to create some version of a straw man of you and then burn that straw man. And it sucks when that happens. So you have to be really, really careful. Even if you know you're a good person, even if your friends and family tell you you're a good person, the person that you are portrayed as on the internet can be completely different, and you can lose everything pretty quick. But last week, and I didn't mention this then, but Ethan ended up doing some jokes on his podcast talking about homosexuals and tops and bottoms, and eventually he offended somebody, so that person called in, and then he got into a bit of an altercation with that person, and I won't show those clips here because I think the things he said are probably enough to get demonetized here on YouTube, plus I don't want anybody in Ethan's camp taking this video down, but you can look it up for yourself. And honestly, the jokes weren't just jokes, but they were very edgy jokes. Not the kind of stuff that you would expect someone like Ethan Klein to tell. Well, I should correct myself. I mean, you would expect 2017, 2018 Ethan Klein to make those jokes, but in the last few years, he's reinvented himself as a very open-minded, very progressive person, so you wouldn't have expected him to relapse back into the old version of Ethan Klein. You really wouldn't. But that's what he did on this podcast, and then over the next week, a lot of people who saw this wrote into his sponsors, showed them the clip, put it in the context. I didn't see the letters, but whatever context they put it in, and he ended up getting dropped by a lot of his sponsors, if not all of them, and he talked about that on this week's show. And obviously, I hate this for Ethan. I hate this for anybody. When this happens to anybody, it's bullshit, okay? Sponsors have to do what they have to do. They're going to back out when things get too hot. People know that, so the people that employ this type of thing are garbage people. You really shouldn't do that type of thing. It happened to me back in 2018. I was making good money. 2018 was my record year in the business, but then people didn't like the things I was saying. They didn't like the things I was doing. They took it out of context. They sent it to my sponsors. They made it out to be worse than it was, and I got dropped by almost all of my sponsors, leaving me to live off of YouTube ad revenue, which is still plenty, but certainly not as much as I was making from ad spots. The problem is, it's difficult for me to feel bad for Ethan Klein because he did the same thing back in 2000 when he went after Keemstar, and he taught his audience to do this. Taught them on Twitter, taught them on livestream. Hey, go after Keemstar. And you might be thinking, fuck Keemstar, and hell, I don't necessarily disagree with you, right? I'm just saying it's a tactic that Ethan had employed. So if you're going to use that tactic, if you're going to teach your audience how to do it, when you upset your audience, obviously they're going to do it to you. And look, I'm willing to say it. If you're the kind of person that gets offended by a piece of media you saw and then decide to attack somebody's money, you're a piece of garbage, okay? Whether that's me or Keemstar or Ethan or anybody else, right? Like, let those relationships between that sponsor and that creator be their relationship. You don't have to pretend to be offended by something and decide to get involved, okay? That is parasocial. That is narcissistic. You're a garbage person. Get therapy. Get help. But Ethan is one of the grandest instigators of drama on YouTube. He is one of the big people who've capitalized on it the most. The beginning of his career was commentary, where he made fun of unusual people and unusual situations. And don't get me wrong, I love old school Ethan for one major reason. Even though he would be making fun of clips and fat people and goofy people and unusual people, most of the time he was the punchline of the joke. So I loved 2017 Ethan. I always have, I always will, when he made fun of himself at least as much as he did anybody else. I don't know if it's the depression, I don't know if it's the anxiety, but most of the time when Ethan's making jokes, he's making jokes at somebody else's expense, and he instigates more drama than he's involved in, which is saying something because the man is constantly getting sued and constantly in other types of drama, right? So it makes you wonder how he did not expect this to happen. And so many people on Twitter want to make this a political thing about the left, about the right, or the left is the people that are eventually going to cancel you. And there's some truth to that. If you're a member of the left, you don't get as many slip-ups as if you're somebody on the right. The left will eventually consume you if you are not pretty close to perfect. I mean, there's some truth to that. But everybody employs cancel culture. Everybody does this. The left, the right, doesn't matter. We're all kind of assholes, and we see an opportunity to take somebody down that we don't like. Doesn't matter what the political spectrum is, we'll probably end up doing it. But I'm getting off track because the point of this video is simply to say that if you're a content creator and you want to avoid the pitfalls that I have seen, that Ethan has seen, that a lot of content creators have seen, do not cultivate a critical audience by criticizing others. Be entertaining. Choose to be entertaining. I mean, politics is important sometimes, and sometimes you got to stand up for what you believe in. I get that. I understand that. But if you choose to polarize, you are activating some sleeper cell lunatics who will do some crazy stuff, like show up at your front door to harass you. Trust me, I know, because I chose to do it. My career had an expiration date, and eventually that date passed. Keemstar almost retired last year because he realized his expiration date was coming up, and Ethan has yet to realize it, but there's an expiration date on his career too, and it kind of sucks to watch. Meanwhile, plenty of channels that focused on the entertainment, not on the politics, not on the judging, not on the telling people that they are bad, just focused on the entertainment, they're going strong. Channels that were created even before mine was, back in 2006, they're still killing it, as they always have, as they always will, because they chose to not judge lest they be judged. It's an important lesson for any entertainer. I think it's an important lesson for all of us. Don't be throwing stones unless you know you do not live in a glass house. Now, this is one man's opinion. I know I could be wrong, and if I am, you're going to let me know down in the comments section below. Let me know what you think about all of this. As always, guys, thanks for watching. I love you very much, and I will speak with you again soon.